What's going on, everybody? Today is Wednesday. It is already November 1st, and you are listening and watching the Daily AI Show live. So welcome. I'm late on the music there. That's all right. Thought I hit the button. Today, we got a couple of us. We got Jimmy, we got Beth, Andy, and I'm Brian. And today is Wednesday, which means that we are here to talk about all the AI news that we thought was interesting. So not all the AI news, but definitely the AI news that each one of us thought was sort of interesting over essentially the last 7 days. So from the last time we did this last Wednesday to today, these are not necessarily always the top AI news, but more or less what we found interesting from around the world on the evolution of AI and stuff like that. So I think what probably would make sense is, because we were all sort of just talking about it off air, is to kick off with probably what would we say that the AI.gov is the biggest news of the last couple of days? Do we want to start there? And I don't know if anybody wants to. I lost my notes with the reboot, so I don't know if anybody wants to take a stab at what that was, what the Biden administration put out, what AI.gov is. Does anybody want to kind of kick it off from there?
Yeah, I can take it from here. So a couple of big things in the news that dropped yesterday. Was two things. Number one, the White House, and they're both related. White House released a huge fact sheet and executive order, essentially surrounding AI, and it's pretty exhaustive. It covers most everything that people have been talking about in the AI world regarding catching up society and and how we're running or how we're approaching AI and society. So we're talking about things about like AI safety and security. We're talking about protecting privacy, civil rights and equity, covering things like patient information, healthcare, consumers, stuff like that. And then, of course, supporting and protecting workers' rights and, jobs and things like that. But also encouraging development and leadership in the AI space, innovation, things like that. And one of the key things that they put out at the same time was AI.gov. And so AI.gov site is essentially focused on helping people gain additional AI skills, offering all kinds of job opportunities, which they call the talent surge, where they're trying to bring in everyone with some AI knowledge and into various positions and things like that. And it's also like they're all around home for AI information and the government. So where they have their advisory information, how AI is used in government, all of those kinds of things. And that's all in one spot. So that's essentially broad strokes of what they released in the last couple of days.
Yeah, thanks, Jimmy. The key objectives of the executive order are around safety, and they specifically call out misuse of AI and also loss of control. And I have a comment about what the funding behind the executive order is aimed at in a minute, but I wanted to say that this is tied to, and the timing of it is related to what is really happening right now as we speak. Like literally, Kamala Harris is the designated representative of President Biden on an AI summit hosted in the UK at Bletchley Park, which is where the code breakers for the UK in World War II were. So that's a signal about just how important this is. And here's who's on the attendee list: Tesla XAI CEO Elon Musk, the president of Microsoft, Google DeepMind CEO, Meta's AI chief, AWS's CEO, OpenAI CEO Sam Altman, you've heard the name before, Anthropic's CEO, NVIDIA's CEO, IBM's senior vice president in charge of AI, Databricks CEO, Salesforce CEO, Samsung's chief technology officer and Palantir's CEO, plus Chinese technology representatives from Tencent and Alibaba, which are really large behind AI. That's happening right now. And so now on the same topic, back to AI.gov, what you see is, there's if you go there, you'll see it says, improve your AI skills. Well, the way to do that is you got to be a researcher who needs money to be applied. And you'll see a whole bunch of different stipends and different programs and grants that are available to people who are already very knowledgeable and skillful about AI. So it's really, I don't see it being about the US population on that front. It's more about, okay, we have to gather our resources and really organize the United States alongside many other countries now in this UK-based, confab that's happening. So yeah, safety, security, really top level issues, and AI.gov and the executive order are really amping up the attention for this worldwide.
One of the things I found interesting as I dove into the website a bit was things about the fellowship, and I think you kind of mentioned that, Andy. And there's a job board, which essentially just takes you to USA.jobs.gov, which is like sort of the clearinghouse for jobs within the United States. And so I was curious. I was like, oh, these should be AI related. And to be fair, they are. There's a lot of coding jobs and stuff like that. But I had to scroll to the third page of about 75 posted jobs before I found the first and only one that actually has the term artificial intelligence in it. And so I thought, well, let's look at that one. I'm curious. And so it is the artificial intelligence specialist. It's at the CIA. Now, the salary range on the front page, it only had the starting salary range, which was 65,000. And I thought, well, I don't know who you're getting with AI specialist for 65,000, but it does say the top of the range is 172, so maybe somewhere in there. But yeah, I'm not quite sure. It's not a remote job. And then when it gets into requirements, minimum qualifications, they're looking for people with STEM, right? So data analytics, economics, engineering, geospatial, in there, mathematics. So on and so forth. You need to have, a 3.0 and this and that and the other. But it's just interesting to me more than anything else that it was quite literally at AI.gov. It's quite literally the only job that actually has AI in the title. And there's a lot of other jobs that are that feed and will be part of data analysts and things like this. And they're on there too. So I don't make light too much of it, but my question to you guys is, in 1 year's time, what does that number go from? It's 1 out of 75 right now. In 1 year's time, what's our prediction on how many titles will have AI actually in it? What do you guys think?
I think it'll be a significant increase.
Right. Two jobs.
Right. I think you will see a significant increase in the titles with AI in it, but I think what you'll see far more of is them mentioning AI in the job description.
Yeah.
Like,
and that might be
what you bring, that kind of thing. So I think that's where you
salary range too. So as regards the salary range, that you're not going to get anybody of any significant AI skill in that salary range. But what they are doing is they're starting out to build what they're calling the digital service, the U.S. digital service. I think that's right. Right.
That's correct.
So they're staffing that up with the loan, but you don't have to pay $1 million a year to somebody who's really going to be the leader of that thing to pull them away from the enormous marketplace for AI talent out there, that's being drawn by every country and by every facet of the AI world. It's just, that's the scale of salaries that are being applied to the people who are really at the leading edge of this.
The other thing about this is that's like a really fun anecdote, but I don't want to give the impression that the CIA is not already having artificial intelligence staff.
Oh, right. Yeah.
DOD has artificial intelligence staff, right? Like there is a real push for the government to to I don't know, a unified front is the right word, but like an overarching focus and like a unified focus for this. But within certain pockets of the government, this stuff is way advanced.
Oh, I'm sure.
So.
Yeah.
I think the
yeah,
And
that's
it's
not, this isn't
largely
the first job at the CIA. For AI.
right.
That's for sure.
most of
I was the
work
only one
that's
that can
done-
say AI publicly on the government website.
most of the most advanced work that's done for the intelligence community is done by private companies that are servicing that. So there's the Beltway
Okay.
bandits they're described as.
Mhm.
On that front, I noticed in the news that a defense AI startup, Shield AI, which makes AI drone pilots, just raised $200 million at a close to $3 billion valuation. That increases to a total of 260 million, the funding for that defense-oriented AI startup. Now, you know that they're not offering that service to any other country at this point. It's going to be a service to the U.S. military. So,
Yeah, I've seen a lot of jobs offerings on boards come down the pipe for that organization. But I think what I find most interesting about the jobs that are offered on AI.gov is this new digital core that they're trying to set up, which is for early technologists, early career technologists. It's a fellowship program. They're opening it on the 6th, and that speaks to they have a long-term plan for funneling in people specifically about AI related work, so that they'll have all of those people that they don't have now, right? Because they'll be able to build them up and get them in early and things like that. So yeah, it might take that $1 million to get that current leader, pulled over to government work from the private sector. But then you'll have this core of digital professionals who are just getting started. They understand that this is a major path to go down, and having that opportunity right off the bat, I think, is super important to the whole infrastructure of AI from the government or public sector.
And I wouldn't be surprised if this was part of like a larger upgrading the tech of the government. The government is notorious for having older tech, and it would make sense to me that this would be a way of like, hey, let's upgrade, let's get current with all the things or many of the things, because we're going to need stuff to run AI, and we all know that there is this gap between what is considered standard outside of the government and what is considered standard in the government.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I know we could probably talk about this. I mean, we probably will have future shows about AI.gov and more things coming down the pike for this. But let's pivot and move on, since we're about a third of the way through the show as it is, and talk about some other stories. I have a few just brief ones that I thought were interesting. I read a story talking about how a research agency, I guess, had used 10-second clips of voices to have like almost 85%. It varied between male and female accuracy in diagnosing type 2 diabetes. So in this particular research, it was over in the UK or somewhere else, it wasn't in the States, and they took like 10-second clips or 6 sentences, whatever, for every day for 6 weeks for like 10,000 people. And obviously part of that data set, they knew who already had been diagnosed with diabetes and who hadn't, and they were looking for differences or commonalities, I guess it would be, in voices or whatever. And I guess these are not perceptible by human ears, right? So we can't pick up on these changes. I don't think it's to say that, oh, you can now listen to somebody and be like, I think you have type 2 diabetes. I don't think it's like that, but it's picking up on these other cues that maybe we aren't able to hear. And I just thought it was really, really interesting because, maybe today it's type 2 diabetes, maybe tomorrow it's listening to somebody's voice. And I think I've already read stuff as far as like early onset Alzheimer's and dementia and things like that are happening, or maybe something like a Parkinson's where there's starting to become a tremor in a voice that's not being picked up yet by a doctor, or you couldn't do it in a normal routine. And so this idea of, we talk about cloning and all these things with voices, but also, is it going to end up being that voice ends up being yet another way that AI is able to help in the diagnosis of medical conditions? And what does that mean for the future of cancer diagnosis and things like that? I know they're already able to do things by looking at, retinas and voice. And I think this is just a really, really cool time to be living, because who knows how many more early detections we'll have out there based off of tools and research like this. So just want to bring it up because I just found that to be endlessly fascinating, that they had an 85% success rate picking up on these little cues in voice. So I'll bounce back to you guys, but that was one of the ones I had.
Yeah, I think that's fascinating. Yeah. I really find it interesting when we see AI outside of what our day-to-day sphere is, because we use it a lot for efficiencies and things like that, but be able to diagnose or help diagnose using what I would consider non-conventional methods, like just listening to a voice to be able to figure out those kinds of things. Yeah, that's always super interesting. So yeah, keep those kinds of news coming down. Yeah. Kind of tangent. I've got a story where coming out of MIT, where they were testing the hypothesis of different methodologies of how the human brain absorbs information or learns things, and compares that to, machine learning and things like that. And one of the things that they covered was in machine learning, there's something called self-supervised learning, right? And I think Andy's talked about some form of this before, especially in vision and image recognition and things like that. But what I found important about it was the reason they're doing this is towards general artificial intelligence, right? Or general intelligence, I should say, to align artificial intelligence with natural intelligence. So this is just one more case or one more study that aligns brain processing with machine learning. And so I thought that was a real interesting bit of news coming out of the MIT, and that was from a couple days ago.
Yeah, nice. I would say that deep neural networks are patterned after this neuroscience of study of the brain. And that's the huge breakthrough in AI that we're actually being inundated with at this point, is deep neural networks mimic the process of this latest understanding, not the last weeks, but the last years, of how our brain works. And the idea behind how our brain's neocortex works is that it's a bunch of layers of synapses that work as a memory and prediction engine. And they have layers, and you build those layers through your experience and so on. And that's exactly what neural networks do. And when neural networks were first conceived, most of the people who were in machine learning at the time said, well, that's never going to work. Well, it's worked far beyond expectations.
Yeah. I think all of that is super, super interesting. And I think we're probably just still at the starting point for it too. I think that the potential for it is going to blow us away, in the near future. So it's super interesting. What else do you guys got? I got a few more I can hit at the end or whatever, but who else has got some big news they want to share?
So this is small, big news, but I thought it was interesting. UAI there was a Wired article that talked about UAI's focus on publishers and books to create a chatbot around a book. And the article was like, why read books when you can chat with them? I think we probably still want to read books or watch the videos or that kind of stuff. But I like the idea of engaging with the publishers and creating this larger way of engaging with media, right? We all know that like sensory learning is more effective than just listening or just watching. And I think that AI can really help that. And so I found that exciting. They're doing a little bit of a push to connect with partner with publishers to create chatbots for the new releases.
Well, that's a good maybe segue real quick to what Poe announced. I'm sorry, Poe is Poe was the first place that I ever used Claude months and months ago. Rachel Woods had suggested it, but it's a sort of a one-stop shop for like chatbots. It's owned by Quora, and they just recently announced the ability to be able to build your own chatbots and then charge for them on their site. So they have like a marketplace for chatbots. It was the Neuron or one of them, Ben's Bytes, is one of the newsletters I was reading about it initially, and their sort of take on it was mine, which is like wait and see. Is character AI or these types of chatbots that what Meta is doing are chatbots going to be just part of our day-to-day life, or is it going to be some other version of it that maybe we don't have figured out yet? And so I'm in sort of that camp too of like, I get it, building a chatbot that's like, anybody, Bill Gates, anybody like Tim Ferriss has that chatbot that we were talking about, but I've played with them, but I don't keep them open on my desktop the way I do OpenAI or Claude. And I'm just wondering where that is, or obviously Poe wants to be that place where people go and they can find any chatbot to solve any problem, to help them start a business. This idea that I can be a business of one, but actually be running as a business of 10 because I've got all these brilliant, I built this cabinet, if you will, of chatbot experts around me. So I don't have to be the expert. And it's the idea of, put yourself in a room with 5 people who are smarter than you, or don't be the smartest person in the room. Well, okay, technically now with chatbots, I don't have to be. I can surround myself with all the brilliance of the world in natural language form. And so shouldn't I be able to create an amazing business with me and 5 chatbots? So anyway, I just wanted to bring that up as an idea. Maybe I'm just not the guy for it, but I think it's really cool what Poe is doing. And they've been sort of like really pushing the envelope a little bit over the last couple months. I'm excited to see what they keep doing with it.
Right. And that's actually the business model of GPT Boss and GPT Ninja too, I think. So if you don't want to make your own, like there are people who have built them for you.
Lots of them.
Yeah. So those chatbots that are offered that way, and the chatbots that we build, are really intermediaries between you and the OpenAI or Claude or Google systems that are the foundation models that are being used by those chatbots. So that intermediary position in terms of the business landscape is a way of popularizing the capabilities of some of those large language models, making them more accessible to people in a very narrow, sort of well-defined application. So this chatbot does this, right? Well, so it's really ChatGPT-4 or some other major language models that's doing it. But what they've done is they built the prompts and the UI in such a way that you're really channeled down this one specific application, and that's a little easier to grasp. That for the typical person on the street. Remember, very, very few, like low single-digit percentages of the U.S. population and the global population have ever even tried AI this way in a chatbot form.
Yeah. I think tools like ChatSonic, Jasper. I just had a post out today about Chat PDF. Really just wrappers around using an API or whatever, and they do make a prettier interface. But man, you got to look at all those businesses and think like, that's probably not the one I'm going to invest in, because it's very, very quickly, I think they're going to continue to be absorbed by these larger companies like OpenAI's and Google, because they can just do it, or Meta or Apple, whoever's coming down next, Amazon. We haven't even seen what they're putting out yet, but they will. We know that the big players will all be out there, so it'll be interesting to see what. That was one of the actual stories, was about how ChatGPT had 2 updates. I don't actually have access to one of them, whereas
Yeah,
you no longer have to, like what they're saying is you no longer have to go select DALL-E 3 or advanced data analysis or browsing, that will all just be in one chat prompt, right? You could just ask for all of it. Now, what was cool about that, and I think it was Claire Zood that said it on, or who maybe it is, on LinkedIn. She had a video, I think, about it. And what she was saying is like the idea that you could do research for browsing and then create a infographic directly off the results of your research. I thought that was very interesting because I was trying to wrap my head around like, well, how helpful is this? That was a great use case for how that might be super helpful, because I could think about 1,000 different ways in sales that would be super cool. So just wanted to bring that up as a news story. There was that, and there was also that you could now talk directly to like PDFs and all sorts of files inside of ChatGPT, which, let's be honest, advanced data analysis already could do, but people are making a lot of like they're making a big buzz about it right now, and it is going to obviously kill some of these wrapper plugins, you know, like your Chat PDF, because now what competitive advantage do they have? So that just came out this week as well.
I was actually really excited with that news as well, particularly because of that use case, but because of what we've been doing in the exchange for the last 30 days is, you know, making those prompts each day. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm making a prompt that you have to use the DALL-E one, and you got to use the advanced data one, and you got to, you know, and you know, number one, gotta try them all. But yes, I absolutely love the news that where it's like, yes, one interface, and I can access all of the features. Thank you, because that in and of itself is a huge efficiency for prompt engineering, for developing a prompt, as well as because you can access everything all together, as opposed to having to, you know, go back and forth and do various testing and things like that. So, but I won't go into too much detail. I just really enjoyed the efficiency upgrade there.
A few years from now, we'll all be reminiscing around the fireplace saying, remember in the old days when we had to pick advanced data analysis, or I mean code interpreter?
True.
Exactly.
It has a value to us, though, that we had to do that. Gives us some insight into how the architecture of the OpenAI's model is built, right? Remember ChatGPT 4, it was told that was based on 8 large language models all ganged together. Well, you know, now you're going to have 15 large language models all ganged together in order to make access to DALL-E and ADA and vision and voice. I still can't quite get to the point where I understand how voice is going to work, because voice is kind of a UI, you know, layer on top of the language model. So anyway, that'll just be a natural way of interfacing. And of course, you can't say, okay, I'm going to read to you the CSV data. You're going to have to upload a file at some point.
Right.
Truly
Andy,
multimodal.
were you the one who said that like there was a conversation that shifted this for me a little bit, where uploading the file could be part of your few shot or example that because for me, like adding the examples in the prompt is always like visually weird for me, and I'm worried that it's going to be too long. But if you could say examples of the output that I want are in this PDF or in this file.
Yeah, I think that's going to be possible. I haven't experimented with that one specifically. I think I might have made a comment like that in relationship to offering up an image and saying, you know, understand this image and then do this, right? I'm trying to stay away from spreadsheets.
Right. Well, I mean, as soon as you can figure out a clear and safe way from the OpenAI side to provide integrations, then I think that's what plugins might evolve to is better integration, so that it just runs in the background and it's like, all right, and can you add this file from my ChatGPT safe folder? Oh, okay, cool. And then it goes and grabs it and puts it up. And that could just be how the app functions on the mobile. And it's like, oh, grab it from here or grab this file, and then it'll look for it and then put it up there. And that's what's happening locally on the phone to the servers. But there's a whole bunch of questions that would need to be answered about that to before you implemented it. But that would be cool for me. I want as much hands off, less typing, clicking, anything like that. I just want to go, hey, chat, can you do this for me and that for me and all this kind of stuff? All right, awesome, cool. And what's the output? Perfect. All right. You know.
Well, and in the prompting course
on my phone.
In the prompting course that Brian and I were course leaders for, people are always like, but wait, if we have this variable, can't it just go get it? Right? Do I have to cut and paste from this variable? Yeah. And like, that's so coming. And if ChatGPT could, you can just like, okay, so here's the directory of variables that I'm going to reference. This is my voice paragraph. This is the mission of my business.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
yeah, if you could have multiple different sets of custom instructions, I think that would be huge. And then, of course, let's do some management for all of the prompts history that we have, search function or file hierarchy or something. Little UI things. Okay, I'm sorry. I'll just talk forever. Sorry.
No. I think those are all. I'm with you on all of that. Although, by the way, you probably could, if you were good at just building like hotkeys for your computer, your Mac or Windows or whatever, you could technically build that variable library and then just be like Control F, and it's like, boop, there's that custom instruction or whatever. So you could do that with prompts, but yes, I agree. Like a much easier solution for a variable library or something like that inside of ChatGPT would be smart on their part to do that. So that'll be interesting. Okay, we're over time, but like there's only 4 of us. So does everybody have one more rapid fire news story that they want to share? I have another one I can share super quick while you guys are thinking of it. And that was just super quick that a judge did rule. I'll just read you the headline. Judge pars down artist AI copyright lawsuit against Midjourney Stability AI. So a judge in California filed a court on Monday, trimmed a lawsuit by visual artists who accused Stability AI, Midjourney, and DeviantArt of misusing their copyrighted work in connection with the company's generative artificial intelligence systems. I won't go on beyond that for brevity, but basically this will be an ongoing battle. It's certainly not over, but this was definitely a blow to the people who had started the lawsuit and said, hey, we believe that, you know, they're using our copyrighted image. And essentially what I read somewhere else was, well, you can literally not get it to reproduce a exact replica of the art, and therein lies some of the problems. I'm paraphrasing there, but that was a really interesting news article. Okay, what do you guys got?
So OpenAI's dev conference is coming up on the 6th. And I don't know that we have enough like historic data to know if they've leaked the stuff and that's what they're going to announce. This like multimodal, you don't have to choose between Ada and DALL-E 3 and that kind of stuff. Or whether that's just the teaser and more stuff is going to be announced. I am hoping it's the latter. But I don't feel like I have a sense of like what their pattern is. Also, Apple just had a conference and people were wishing, and no, it did not happen. There was no like.
And I think Robert owns Carl a dinner now or something because of that, if I'm not mistaken. So we'll have to get the feedback on that when Carl's back. I know Robert's out for a bit, but when Carl's back, we'll ask him about that.
Yeah,
so,
they're still working in
Andy, what do you
got?
Really quick, small story, but could be interesting down the line. Google commits $2 billion USD investment in Anthropic.
Yeah.
So is this a case of you can't do it, so buy it? I mean, but or is this a, hey, we need more competition out there, and they think Anthropic is really good, it's going to be good enough to stop OpenAI long enough for them to get their stuff going? Because wouldn't this be a direct competition to their Gemini product, right? That's supposed to be coming out. I don't know. Maybe they're just hedging their bets, and $2 billion is a is a tech hedge bet nowadays. But so
And that comes on the heels of $4 billion from Amazon.
Right.
That's right. Well, Amazon makes sense because they have their products, but they weren't in it, right?
Yeah.
They weren't saying, oh, we're going to release this and that and then all this kind of stuff. But they've always been an infrastructure type of AWS has always been an infrastructure type thing. So to me, $4 billion investment from Amazon makes perfect sense. $2 billion from Google, which seems to compete against themselves, that's questionable to me. But that's what I got.
All right, I've got one hyper-local bit of news. This is, co-host of the Daily AI show, Andy Halliday, a commentator on AI issues, has just been informed by his wife that my daughter's water broke. And so I have to go.
Hey, congratulations.
Breaking news.
Breaking news.
All right. He's out of here.
Okay, well, let's wrap this up. He's got to go.
I got to go.
Congratulations, Grandpa.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
Well,
congrats.
good. Well, then that's a perfect time to wrap this up on that high note. Super excited for the Halliday family. And that will wrap it up for this AI and also hyperlocal Andy news for Wednesday. And we will see you guys again tomorrow on Friday for more fun on the Daily AI Show Live. That's it. We'll see you. Bye. Hope everybody had a good Halloween.
Happy Wednesday.